Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather, and as we have officially entered spring, my mind is ever more turning towards the books that I want to read in April. So here are some of the books that I hope to read, although given that spring break falls within April as well, I may read far more than just these books. First of all, for my classic for the month of April, I would love to read The Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, as I believe it opens in April, so what better time to read it? This is a wonderful copy because it's a line-by-line translation done by Vincent Hopper, and I've become very curious about reading the Canterbury Tales lately. It wasn't something I ever read in university, but lately it seems to be cropping up more and more in things that I'm watching and things that I'm reading, so I'm really intrigued to get around to this. As far as I know, it's about a bunch of pilgrims making their way to Canterbury Cathedral, and each of them takes a turn telling their story. Next, for my non-fiction book, I am very excited to read Brief Encounters by Susanna Fullerton. Susanna Fullerton is one of my favorite Jane Austen scholars. I have seen her speak at AGMs, and she is really, really wonderful. And this is a book of hers that I had never heard of before. But it's her story of about 100 years, I believe from 1830 to the 1930s, and all of the very famous authors who visited Australia during that time span. What they thought of it, what they did there, and how it may or may not have affected their work afterwards. These are authors like Mark Twain, Robert Louis Stevenson, Anthony Trollope, Agatha Christie, I think, is in there. A bunch of authors that I never even knew visited Australia at any point. I was able to get an ebook copy of this through Barnes & Noble, so I'm really, really excited to read it soon. Next, some seasonally appropriate reads. I would love to try once again to read Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. This was on my list last April to read, and I never got around to it, so I'm hoping this year is my lucky year. If you haven't heard of it already, which I feel like would be rare given how popular it is on BookTube, it is about the Shakespeare family, primarily Anne Shakespeare, formerly Anne Hathaway, as the family mourns the death of their son, Hamnet. Also in April, I am very excited that Passover and Easter line up with one another. I'm so excited. I love it when that happens because it feels particularly real. Because of course the Last Supper was a Passover Seder, so I love it when the two holidays overlap. In honor of that, I thought I would start by reading People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks. My mother has read this and loved it, and I know Marissa of Blatantly Bookish also loved it. And it is the story of a woman who comes into possession of this very special Haggadah, which is the text that leads you through a Passover Seder. Yes, the Sarajevo Haggadah. And so through acquiring this book, she then traces its history back and is able to see how it affected its various owners over the centuries. And that sounds really wonderful, and I can't wait to read more. And in a similar vein, another book that I have been meaning to read for ages is The Lost Shtetl by Max Gross. This is a book that I haven't heard many people talk about, but it sounds really, really fascinating. It is about this one shtetl, this one particular Jewish village in Eastern Europe, where time seems to have stopped. History has passed them by and honestly forgotten about them. And in one way, that's a really good thing because it means that they were spared the horrors of the Second World War and the Holocaust, the Cold War. They have missed most of the 20th century. And therefore they are still living as they would have at the turn of the century. But they eventually come into contact with the modern world, when this one couple from the shtetl who have been fighting with each other go missing. And they wonder where they've gone, what they make of the modern world, and these two worlds collide as everyone begins searching for this young couple. And I think that sounds really, really cool. It's really interesting. I loved Running Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix when I was very young. So it's got those sorts of vibes, along with a kind of magical realism kind of vibe. I'm really excited to see what this turns out to be. I hope I love it. And finally, because I have been loving Evie Dunmore's books, I would love to read the most recent in her League of Extraordinary Women series, which is Portrait of a Scotsman. And this follows the third of the four women, Hattie, as she presumably falls in love with a Scotsman and everything that that means for her and her personal life, but also for advancing the suffragette and feminist causes. These are not great literature by any means, but they are fun escapism, and I've really been enjoying them. As I said, in addition to those books, I'm sure I'll read other books in April as well. I also have a stack of books that are left over from March's TBR, which I will probably carry over into April, but I'll tell you more about those in my March wrap-up, which is coming up soon. Are there any books that you are excited to read, either in April or in the spring? Are there any that you think I should add to this TBR? Let me know in the comments down below, and until next time, be safe, be well, and happy reading. Bye everyone.